Hello and welcome to Motors for the Masses, and today Jamie, Malcolm and I are having a three-way. Oh yeah, so let's roll the intro and get cracking and all that stuff. In today's lineup we have three 50cc equivalent electric scooters, a black one, a red one and a bluish green one. Oh, you need more than that? Okay, all right. Well, we've got the Keeway Blueshark 45 Lite R1. We've got the Segway, and yes, it is the same company as that two-wheelie thing, Segway E110S and the MGB G1. There. Is that it? Well, we're going to start things off a little differently this time. This time we're going to start with a drag race. Yes, Malcolm, Jamie and I are going to take turns on each bike and see which one is better, or see whether the results show that Malcolm is significantly heavier than myself and Jamie, or that myself and Malcolm are significantly heavier than Jamie, or things like that. Let's get on with the race, shall we? 3, 2, 1, go! Whoa! Oh! The MG did the Keeway. 3, 2, 1, go! Yeah. Oh! 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, this is slow to accelerate. Well, I think the results of that were definitely clear. Malcolm's definitely heavier because he lost. I think what it actually shows is that there isn't a massive difference once you get up to speed in any of them. However, in initial acceleration, it seems the Keeway is the quickest, very closely followed by the Segway, and then followed up at the back with the MGB, and I think that's just down to how it delivers that power. A little bit quicker off the mark on this one and that one, and not so quick off the mark on the MGB. Actually, what we did conclude from that drag race is that Jamie won on that once, Jamie won on that once, and I won on this once. So we can definitely conclude from that Malcolm is the heaviest. That's about all I can come up with. Other than that, the drag race was bollocks because they're all pretty equal. So it's not really faster. The weight, lack of weight, seems to help with that. This is in the middle, and that's the heaviest, but a little bit quicker. And they're all the same, to be honest. However, the specs will tell a different story. Let's get into them, shall we? Well, so the Segway uses a QS 1500 watt motor. The Keeway uses a 1500 watt motor, that's permanent magnet motor, and the MGB uses a 2000 watt brushless motor. So on paper, this one has the more power. Interesting. Well, it is interesting because the Segway is supposed to have 65 pounds-foot of torque, whatever the equivalent of that is, because that's a lot of torque that you'd probably get from something like a 650. But it's how it delivers that power, it's just a bit alien. Because on paper, the Keeway is supposed to have 148 pounds-foot of torque. No. Now, it does say on paper the same specs for the 80 version as well as the 45, so I think there's just been a bit of a copy and paste exercise going on there. However, it doesn't have 148 pounds-foot of torque. Anyway, the MGB has torque. The figures are not available but it has some. The range is the important bit. The Keeway has 37-mile range, double that if you have the 2 batteries in. The Segway has a 35-mile range, 50 if you have dual batteries, whereas the MGB already has dual batteries and has a range of 32 miles. Although apparently, according to the online bump, it has a range of 50 miles. But as you know, range is all down to varying factors such as rider weight, road conditions, weather conditions, and how much you do that with the throttle. And let's be honest, at 28 miles an hour, which is what all these should do, you're going to get on it and just go pin it in the biggest mode you can, not in mode 1 that does 25 kilometers an hour. Nobody does that, unless of course you're in Amsterdam or somewhere like that. But if you're in England and you're on public roads, you want it to do 28. You actually want it to do more, but you need it to do its maximum. In terms of batteries, the Keeway uses a 48 volt 30 amp hour battery, the Segway uses a 48 volt 30 amp hour battery, and the MGB uses 2 48 volt 26 amp hour batteries. Again, the biggest capacity. But it doesn't seem to translate into delivering that power and the longevity of the batteries. It may have that 50 mile an hour, but the online bump is a bit confusing. And in one bit it says it's got a range of 37 miles, then another bit 50. So now when it comes to dimensions, I'm not going to bore you with all the exact dimensions of each one. They're all very similar. They're all around about 1.8 meters long. However, there is a difference in the width. Now the MGB is 740 millimeters wide. The Segway is 675 millimeters wide. And the Keeway is 700 millimeters wide. So the Segway is the thinnest and the MGB is the widest, and the Keeway is right in the middle there. But what you have got is a difference in seat height as well, almost. The Keeway seat height 740 millimeters. Now I am 5'10.5" with a 31.5 inch inside leg. I can sit happily on this with my feet either side, flat on the floor with a slight bend, no dramas there. Now, also 740 millimeters, sorry, is the MGB. Oh yes, that's a loud alarm, isn't it? Again, now this feels less. Maybe 730. I'm not convinced it's 740. But sitting on this, again, it feels smaller. My knees are bent slightly more. I'm still the same height, still the same inside leg measurement. Nothing's changed there. So yeah, that one's a little bit less. And the tallest one is the Segway at 770 millimeters. Again, I am quite comfortable on all of them. There isn't a lot of difference between them. 30 mil is like that. So yeah, all very comfortable, all very easy. But what about the weight? Well, this is where the MGB pulls ahead. Now this Segway is 91 kilos. Now it doesn't feel very heavy. Nice big bar at the back here to lift it up. Doesn't feel heavy at all. The Keeway is the heaviest at 116 kilos. Now I'm just going to lift that up at the back there. I mean, again, it's not horrendous, but it is the heaviest. However, the MGB is just 70 kilos. That doesn't weigh a lot at all. That is its party piece. Why does that matter, I hear you ask? Well, if you are maneuvering it in and out of your flat, perhaps, or in and out of your garden, tight little spaces, that makes a lot of difference, because you can easily maneuver it by picking it up like so and moving it around very easily. Now on the Keeway, the Segway, you do have this big handle to maneuver it around, so it's not difficult. And no, I haven't tightened up the mirrors yet. Sorry about that. I will do. The Keeway is a little bit more cumbersome, and it will be slightly heavier once you've got that second battery in as well. All right! Shut up! Finished. Thank you. Now when it comes to brakes, again being 50cc equivalent, they don't need to be huge. However, there is a difference. The Keeway has disc brakes front and rear, as you can see. The Segway also has disc brakes front and rear, but it's on this side, whereas the MGB has a disc on the front and a drum brake on the rear. But let's be honest, at this sort of speed, that's all you need. They work. What more can I say? Oh, and because it only weighs 70 kilos, that is perfectly enough. Perfectly enough? Perfectly adequate, but it's more than adequate. So I don't really want to say adequate, but it's enough. It does the job. And when I say drum, I mean like a little inboard drum with a cable. You know, it works. The Keeway uses 12-inch wheels front and rear with a 100 on the front and a 120 on the back using CST rubber. The Segway also uses 12-inch wheels with a 90 on the back and an 80 on the front, also using CST rubber. However, the MGB uses a 10-inch rear wheel with a 3.5 tyre, which is about a 100, and on the front a 12-inch wheel with a 90 front tyre, and they are Kenda rubber. Now you can get a slightly faster 80 version of the Keeway, and you can get the non-LTE version or non-light version. This is the light basic version. It has the digital dash, but you have a color 10-inch digital dash on the more equipped model. It's late, what can I say? And that one has sat-nav connectivity on it as well, whereas this one doesn't. However, these two are both able to connect and be monitored by an app on your phone, whereas the MGB doesn't have that technology. All three scooters are very similar looking, especially the Keeway and the Segway. And thankfully, none of them have that corner shop door noise. They make blingy noises, but they're not quite as bad as like the Coupop and the Keeway Easy, which sounds like you step on a mat when you go through the front door of a shop. However, the MGB doesn't have any of that. You turn it on, no noise. You hold the brake, you push the button, no noise, and it's ready to go. However, the Segway, which is keyless, or you can use a key to turn it on. Now, it has sensors in this, so if I sit on it, thusly, and push the on button, without touching these, you don't have to hold the brake on that. It goes from a blue light, orange light to blue light. Now, if I get off the seat, as Malcolm demonstrated.
There you go. Does yours do that?
I wonder if I did that, how much battery would... ready, not ready. Ready, not ready. Ready. See, it says here, very good. And all you do is push the button and you're ready to go. Now if I turn that off again, does that, locks the steering. So if I put it on lock, it'll lock the steering. Now the Keeway has a very different sound. Nice. Again, sit on it, push the button, you have to hold the brake on this one. It's ready to go. I'll show you the dashes in a second. Now this one also has a thumb start-stop, so you can push and start-stop or push and hold and it'll lock it, or you can use, again, the keyless fob or the key. I like that. Let's have a look at the dashes. So on the MGB, you turn it on, it's a nice simple dash. Now with the two batteries, it's got how much juice you've got left altogether and in the batteries, and like I said before, if you start it, it's just ready. It's all very simple. It's how many mile range you've got left, what mode you're in. Now you've only got one mode, so you can't really change that anyway. You do get a horn, of course. Lovely. And your speedo, speedo there and miles there. It's very simple to use. With the indicators, of course, you've got your indicator here and a little blue light on this side, and then back to the middle, and blue light on this side. Main beam darkens this a little bit. And there you go. Hazard flashes. Both flash blue, obviously. On the Segway here, turn that on. Again, a very simple dash. How much you've got left in the battery, your speed. Once it's ready, you've got the orange and blue light. I'm not sitting on it, so it won't actually turn on. Mode you can change here. Mode 1, mode 2, and that's it. So yeah, very simple, very easy to read, nice and clear. And the Keeway is a bit more fancy. So once you turn it on, if you had two batteries in here, it would show you how much you've got. I've only got one battery in slot 2, so it tells me how much I've got left, how much range in that. So I've got 38 kilometers apparently in that 94% of battery. You can't use turbo mode because that's only if you've got two batteries, and you can run them in unison and get a bit more oomph on the acceleration. Other than that, it's very simple. Push and hold the brake, turn on. Nice, big, easy to see, clear speedo, which you can change into miles per hour, of course. This is what I'm talking about with the start stop. You've got your various modes on here. So this one turns it off, thusly. Very simple, because it's already key in. You've got a limiter on here, you've got your hazard flashes on here. The horn here, easy. Indicators. Of course your lights on here as well, flash and headlights. Your seat release on here, your lock, which is the same as this one. Yeah, lots of stuff that you probably don't need. You can't start it without turning it on because I've locked it. Okay, all right. Here you've got various modes. Tune mode. I think that's the volume. That's the volume, so you can turn the volume up and down. This one is you can set your clock and lock mode, seat open mode. Takes a bit of getting used to. This you can change here. Hello, why isn't that? Oh, you've got to do it in there and then in there mode. So turn it on, then put it in mode 1, 2 or 3, however quick you want to go. And yes, lots of things to play with. Or you can shut it down by using your thumb. You've got your very easy to see lights. You turn that on there. Nice light arrangement on the back there. On the Segway, nice light arrangement on there also, and on the Keeway, equally as nice. And the same with the indicators. So everything is quite easy to see. I think the Blueshark looks amazing, followed by this, and then the Segway is the runner-up. All scooters have a centre stand and a side stand. Well, I say that. The MGB and the Segway have a side stand. This one has a golf putter. I wonder if that would work if you go around a golf course and put that down at the same time. It's, I suppose it does its job, but look at it. Seat release on the key for this one. on the key for this one, or push that twice to unlock the seat. And this one is electronic, so it's button on the fob only or on the dash. And what about room under the seat? Well, the MGB has the 2 batteries in here and then some storage here. Certainly no way you can get a helmet in there. Maybe a city helmet, you might be able to get the back down there, but there's not enough room there. So no, I doubt it. You can't get a helmet under the seat, but you can get a pack of 6 Capri Sun and some crisps. The Segway will house a small child, certainly a full face helmet, and a large bag of crisps and some Capri Sun and a curly whirly. Oh, there's your battery release as well, your battery compartment release, which is under there. So that's why you've got a massive amount of space in here, because your flat battery is under the floor. The Keeway will house 1 or 2 batteries. If you've got 2 batteries, you can get a small loaf of Hovis, half a box of Capri Sun, and a bent curly whirly. If you've got 2 batteries in there, that's all you can get. If you've got 1 battery in, you can't really put anything else because you don't want to mess up the contacts in here. So yeah, there you go. All the scooters have USBs. You've got one under here, under this little compartment where the key goes, and under here you have a mystery button that calls Her Majesty the Queen and tells her that you're ready to transport her to hospital or something. The Segway also has an USB. You've got your little compartment there and your USB here. Ta-da! See it? And this one also has an USB there, and a charge point there, and another little compartment on there. All 3 scooters, like all scooters, have their shopping hook, nice sturdy one on there. This one will house your Segway bag, nice little velvet bag there. Oh yes, and the tools are proper tools. Look, proper metal spanners and everything. And this one also has a shopping hook. Right, let's do a little test to see how horny they are. So this one has a horn. This one probably sings to you. Nope. And this one definitely the loudest. It makes that noise because it wants to go on lock. See, now the steering's locked. This one, the steering is also locked, and I still haven't tightened the mirror. And this one, you have to physically use the key to lock it. Now, what about anti-theftism? Well, this one, you can, obviously you've got your steering lock, take it off, doesn't have an alarm, you can move it about, etc. This one, obviously, has the same, you can move it around, it doesn't have an alarm. I can, nope, no alarm. The Keeway cries when you touch it. See, and it locks it, so I can't physically move it now. I've got to pick it up because I can't move it. It's locked it. Careful or I'll get your putter out. Oh no, help, please, being stolen, help. Nope, scratch that. If you push the lock button on here, it does lock it and put it in alarm mode. See what I mean? Alarm's going off. There you go. Now if I want to try and take it away, it will lock it. like so. You cannot move it. Well, you can drag it, but I've upset it. There we go. So yes, it does have an alarm and a do not steal me mode, just like the Keeway. I apologise. That's another plus for the Segway. In terms of suspension, the Segway is the only one that doesn't have gaiters. Not that you really need them, but you've got conventional front forks on all of them, gaiters on the Keeway and on the MGB. You've got twin rear shock on that Keeway, twin rear shock on the Segway, and a mono shock on the MGB. Looks wise, I think the Segway is the nicest looking, and I like the way it feels, and I like the way it is designed. The Keeway comes a close second, and then the MGB follows up in third place. It's not ugly as far as electric scooters are concerned, but it's not the best looking out of the three. I don't know about this big slab on the side here. I quite like these. They're quite nice. Nice touch. And these have them as well. Nice touch. And these ones also. Oh, you have to pull them out and push them back in. But yeah, I think definitely the Segway is the nicest looking out of the three, although I do like the dash on the Keeway, but I like the easiness of the dash on the MGB. Very simple. And of course it's the lightest and much more easy to maneuver. So rather than do my usual thing where I just ride the bikes and do a running commentary, I thought this time I would just ride all three and then do a sum up and comparison between the three. Now the Segway, I will say right from the off, before you start riding it, connect it to your phone and do a firmware update. It must have that firmware update because it can be a little bit temperamental on the turn off and on thing. And I found that until I'd done the firmware update. And then you've got various options. You can change the short light at the back to a strip light. You can change the sound so it has slightly different noises. And you can have the seat detection on and off and the kickstand on and off and things like that. As far as riding's concerned, now let's start with the MGB G1. Well, first of all, they all get up to speed, no problem at all. This one is the slowest on acceleration, but only marginally, I will say, only marginally. When you're turning, that one, because of the 10-inch wheel, I believe, at the back there, when you go into a corner, you sometimes have to correct yourself because it really dips into the corner. But I guess it's just getting used to it. It can be a little bit fiddly. Other than that, on normal riding, no problem at all. Brakes well, handles well. It feels light, so the maneuverability is pretty good in normal circumstances. It's only on the short, sharp turns do you notice, oops, might have to correct that. But again, as I said, just getting used to it. This one, I believe, is the best riding. It sort of senses that you're only sort of touching the throttle gently, and it really eases it on. So when you're doing maneuvers, whereas this one will be a tiny little bit jerky, this one is really smooth in those slow actions. Really nice. And this one is probably a little bit quicker in the acceleration than this one. But like I say, on those slow maneuvers, a little bit jerky. You can feel it's a little bit heavier. It's not horrendous, but you can definitely feel it's a little bit heavier. As far as rideability is concerned, for me, I think this one is the best riding bike. Very, very closely followed by this one, and coming up in third place with that one. Visibility out of the mirrors, I would say this one trumps it because you've got longer stalks on here. The Keeway has excellent 100% visibility. These ones are a little bit less. This one's about 90 to 95%. This one's about 85 to 90%. They're not bad. They just go in proportion quite nicely with the bike. But the Keeway definitely tops it on that one. The dash, love the dash on that. Very clear to see the speed. Again, you can seize the speed easily on all of them, but this is the clearest because it's huge in the middle there. The features on this one, as I say, you can also connect to your phone as well, and on the upper model you can have your sat-nav on there also. Other than that, there's not a huge amount between them. They all do 28 mile an hour very easily. They all slow down a little bit going uphill. That one more so than the other two, but again, there's nothing, it's negligible. As far as the ride is concerned, they all ride very nicely. This one a little bit fiddly, as I say, on the sharp, slow turns, and I think personally this one rides the best at slow speeds, and this one feels the nicest at top speed. Not a lot to choose between these two. I think overall I like the Segway for ride, but for ease of use, yeah, the Keeway. And that one because you literally just have to turn it on and go. This one you have to do the setup thing first and then make sure you've got that and seat detection and all that. Unfortunately, we're in a modern age where technology is key, but sometimes too much technology can just be annoying. Once you get used to it, it's fine, but you know, as long as you're tech savvy initially, read your manual, connect the phone. This one, you can connect your phone, you don't need to set it up, and this one doesn't even have that option. You just turn it on and go. Very simple. And just one more thing, in true Columbo style, I want to add that the Keeway, I think it's a battery saving option that it's got, because previously when I'd left the bike for 5 days with the battery in, it went down to 73%. Now, as you know, with lithium batteries, the optimal is about 70%. So it could be a battery life saving option to do that, unless of course it's just the alarm doing its draining thing. I don't know, but yeah, just keep an eye on that. Obviously it's not a massive problem because you just plug it in and off you go. But yeah, just wanted to point that out. Well, what about the price? Well, the Keeway is the most expensive at $3,099 on the road. The Segway is just $2,699 on the road, and the MGB is $2,699 on the road. So I think value for money, the Segway has it. Closely followed by the Keeway and then the MGB. And the reason for that is because the MGB is the same price as this. If you want a very light bike, this is perfect. Great. It's simple, it's not complicated with all the buttons and stuff like that. So if you're not into technology, or if you're not worried about buttons and all these flashy bleepy bleepy stuff, the MGB is perfect. If you want the bleepy bleepy fancy stuff, you could get this one or the slightly more expensive non-LTE version, or the faster 80 version. And again, those are on the website. So pop along to www.lsmoto.co.uk and have a look at the different versions. And you can have a look on mgb.co.uk, mgb.org.uk, mgb, MotoGB, sorry, and have a look at the specifications on their website, and they'll tell you all about the differences of this, as long as they've sorted out the copy and paste issue. So yeah, what was I saying? Something about this. Yeah, so this one, I think that one is good for people that don't want technology. This one, if you love technology and bleepy bleepy stuff, and this one, if you want a bit of technology, but the nicer looking one, I think. But of course, as we know, looks are subjective, clearly. And that's all really I've got to say. If I was to make a choice and I was to have one, I'd go for the Segway. Because it's middle of the road, it's a good price, it's a Segway, so it's got the name, and it's well built. They're all well built, to be honest. They all do their job quite nicely. They all do what they're supposed to do. Bling, not so bling, no bling. Expensive, not so expensive, average. Best looking, almost better looking, and okay. So there you go. What do you think? Please let me know in the comment section below. I know electric is a contentious issue and people don't want to go electric, and in cities they're perfect. In urban areas it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's the way the future is heading, and I can't really deny it, and I don't think either can you, because neither can you either, because the government are coming. To quote a very famous philosopher, Ned Stark, the government's coming. No, it's winter's coming. It's getting dark. I've been here all day. It's been a hard day. It's been a long day. Well, there you go. I've got nothing else to say. If you have anything to say, please leave it in the comment section below. I've waffled enough. I do apologise. I'm hungry. It's really 7 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock in the evening. To see what the lengths I go to bring you. Oh, right, I'll shut up. Okay, fair enough. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I'll be back next time with something else. Oh, I've got a couple of bikes coming. I've got the Segway Mezzo coming, the 650 from Moto Marini. That's coming soon. I've also got a new version of the Mash 70. Lovely colour on that one. And I've got some other stuff coming too, some more on cars and more on bikes, so stay tuned for that. And please like, subscribe and share this video. Please don't forget to click the notification bell. If you want to support this channel, you can do by going onto our merchandise shop and purchasing something, or you can follow us and click on our Patreon link and contribute that way. Much appreciated. I want to bring you the best content I can, and I want to keep bringing you content, and I very much enjoy it. And until next time, please ride and drive carefully, but have fun. Bye bye. I really need a cup of tea.